So good evening, sir. Shall we start? So we are going to start. So good evening. So we are going to start this analysis. So now before starting analysis, one thing, in the first part, I'm going to cover LRDI part. And then after that, that will be followed by quant, and then that will be followed by verbal. So in LRDI analysis, one thing that I would suggest all of you, especially those of you who already they are done with DI marathon. This is one of those mock that will give you clear indication whether you have done justice with your DI marathon or not. Because there are so many sets are almost same as that of DI marathon sets. So now if you are not able to score well in this particular test, so I would suggest please go back and check whether you have done proper solving of DI marathon or not. And this is something, it is going to be evident also when you will see the questions. Let me start with the first question. First question was a beautiful question. You are getting the feeling of like you are going for surgical strike. So, but again, it was a very simple question of surgical strike as only two routes were there. Again, from P to R, then to Q, there is one route. Other route is P to S and then to Q, the second route. So the moment, if you will see this question, the beauty of this question is almost half of the question was nothing but the example, the way they explained. For example, if only two commandos move from P to R, each commando take 15 minutes. Again, on the road P to S, one commando take 20 minutes, it is additional commando. So now there are lots of data just to explain the question. If you would have read this whole thing properly, you would have easily give the answer of the most of the question. And this is a very doable set. I would suggest a very doable set, although interesting question. You I will consider it somewhere around easy to moderate. Moment you will start solving, okay, what are the different routes possible? PRQ, PSQ, what are the different routes possible? So again, 4%. So 4% is going through this route, 0% is going this one condition, 3% is going through this route, 1% is going through this route, this may be other condition. 1% is going through this route, 3% is going through this route, that is one condition, 0% is going this route, and 4% is going to this route, that is another. So only this whole set is based on these four conditions. The moment you will be able to crack these four conditions, you will be able to crack this whole question very easily. So guys, what I would suggest, even if you are not able to solve this question in test, please, even without looking at the solution, I would suggest, why don't you try this question again and try and solve this, just in order to give you a hint. Let's say 4% is going to this route, 0% is going this route. Just find out what is the time taken. If I'm saying time taken through this route, PRQ, you will see total time taken 25 minutes plus 23 minutes. Similarly, for this route also, you can find the time. For this route also, you can find the time. This route also, you can find the time. So very doable question. I would suggest, please, for sure, you should solve this question, this set. And what you will see, when you will see the first question, you will realize the third question is very much connected with the first question. So somebody who solved first question, the rest three questions are very much connected with the first question. So you can easily solve with little bit of effort. So it was all about just putting the proper effort in the first question, and then you will end up solving the rest of the two questions. Doable, please do solve it. After that, if you are unable to get how to solve it, then only go for the solution thing or take the help of solution. So now, next set was this one. Now, the only challenge with this question is, those of you don't know the concept of knockout. So then in that case, you may face problem. So few things that I would like to give you a hint is, just one example as a hint I'm giving you. Let's say there are 64 teams. Okay. So 64 teams with the seeding 1 to 64. So top 32 team will play with bottom 32. Let's say there is no upset. Now they defined upset in the question. Upset means if lower ranked team is winning over the higher ranked team, that is called upset. If there is no upset, then in that case what will happen? These top 32 team will win. Again, further after this, let's say out of this 32, 16 and 16, these 16 will play with these 16, then again these 16 will win. I'm assuming that there is no upset. Again, these 16, 8 team and 8 team. So these 8 team will win over these 8 team. Then 4 team and 4 team. These 4 team will win over these 4 team. Then again 2 and 2. And then after that 1 and 1. So guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So when there are 64 team, how many rounds? 6 rounds. Can you see this 64 is 2 to the power 6? There's a pattern. Now guys, let's say, नहीं चलिए भूल जाते हैं एक सेकंड के लिए. Now let's say there are 32 teams. So then how many rounds are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rounds. So for 32 teams, how many rounds? 5 rounds. That is 2 to the power 5. So 2 to the power n is equal to total number of player, where n is number of round, is one concept. In case you don't know, then in that case certainly you can consider it was a difficult set. But if you know that concept, you can deal with that concept, then it was an easy set. Now I would suggest you, with this learning, you should certainly try this question first without taking help of any solution. And after that, if you are not able to solve, then you can certainly take the help of solution. Just like example, help के लिए बताता हूँ. Let's say how many teams are there? 75 players took part. And what is given there? In the first round, players seeded 1 to n were given buys such that there were no buys from second round till the end of tournament. So after first round, second round onwards, there is no buy. Now nearby 75, you will see number of teams, so that there should be no buy. सब कुछ perfect चले. क्या दिख रहा है? 64. So that means 64. That means 11 team get eliminated. So 11 team will get eliminated. For that, again, there should be 11 team which should be playing with them. So these 11 will play with these 11. So rest is 53. So that means this 53 people are not playing match with anybody. And this 11 is playing match with 11, and these 11 winner plus 53, those who are getting buys, total is 64. And then after that, there is no question of any upset, and the whole tournament will go on as it is. So that means what can be said, that how many player got buy? 53 player got buy. So that's why answer would be none of these. I know it is really not easy to get the question with hint. For that, if you haven't solved this question properly, you have to go through this question once again and try and get the point. But yes, after that, you will certainly get my hint what exactly I was talking about. So with this concept, I would suggest you to solve this question again. Not easy, but doable in case you know this concept. And the best part was this question. Let's say even if you don't know anything about this, just you know the meaning of knockout, you know that how many teams are there, 75 teams are there. So now in order to be a winner, so 74 teams have to go out of the tournament. And in order to them to go out of the tournament, everybody need one match. So can I say in 74 match, you will get a winner. So even if you are not able to whole set, this is one question that you could have made your exit strategy. What is exit strategy? Let's say I got stuck in this set, and I realized that I end up wasting some time in this set. Then in that case, okay, this question could have been a face-saving moment for me. Okay, कम से कम एक तो बन गया, चलो आगे निकलते हैं. So this is something you could have easily solved this question. So guys, again solve it. Although it looks very, you can say, lengthy questions, but again, all these are stories. The moment you will come to know the meaning of these stories, question is going to be easier. Now this third set is a clearly deja vu moment for you. if you would have solved your DI properly, DI marathon properly. If you remember, there are the professors who are joining this one, the marketing department, finance department, operation department, the same question with a different version. Now you could have easily solved this set if you would have done that question properly. And best part is this was the easiest set of this whole test. Easiest set. There are several questions that you could have solved without using pen pencil. Because see, just observation based, 42 to 43, 43 to 44, 44 to 41. So there is only one change that is not as per the nature, because every year the average age will increase by 1. So here average age is increasing by 1. So there are two. Thus in these two places, there is no change. So there is only one change. That means somebody who is joining here. Now in this case, 52.8 to 49. So some different change. This is not a regular change. 49 to 48, it should increase, it should not decrease. That means this is also different change. Then 48 to 49, this is normal change. So that means now in 1 year, one of the person is joining, and in other year, one person is leaving, because in question it is given somebody is going to get retired. So that means you can conclude by itself in the development itself, somebody is retiring. The rest all data you will see 43 to 44, 44 to 45, then only one data where you can find, okay, why it is decreasing. That means somebody must be joining whose age is for 25. So this was one set, that is observation based set, and this was the easiest set. You could have solved this set within 3 to 4 minutes. That's the beauty of this set, and provided you would have solved it properly earlier in DI marathon. Even if someone, those of you who haven't done DI marathon, don't worry. After solving DI marathon properly, you're certainly going to get a great edge as far as solving DIs are concerned, and LRDI questions for that matter. So this was certainly doable. Then this set, again, although those of you who are unable to solve this set or unable to comprehend the solution of this set, I would suggest please go and solve the tournament games and tournament part of your DI marathon. Because this is nothing but the application of the same concept that you learned there in the games and tournaments. The same type of question is there also. But yes, obviously keeping there were 4 questions in order to solve this set, and keeping 4 questions into consideration, this was lengthy. So if you will take my suggestion, I would have left this question in test. Although there's nothing wrong when you have to solve this question after the test. After the test, you have enough time, just go and try this question. If you are unable to solve this question, that means one thing is clear. DI marathon, you haven't solved this type of question properly. Just again revise that and again come back and solve it. You will be able to solve. This will take time. Ideally, in test, you could have left this set, or you could have done this test set at the end when you are done with the rest of all the sets. So little bit difficult. I will consider that, keeping that into mind. Now the next set is this one. Again, those of you who like maths, they would have certainly enjoyed this set. Otherwise, those of you who really don't like maths, they would have faced a little bit of problem. Okay, yes, this is time taking, but not difficult. This was moderate, but time taking type of question. This you could have solved with little bit of calculation. So in that case, it's up to you whether you are comfortable with such type of sets or not. If you're comfortable, certainly you should go for this set. But what, yes, in every question you have to do calculation, different calculation. That's why you can say moderate, but time taking. And at the end, this was the set. If you missed this set, that means beta it was a loss. This is something, these 2 caselet, this caselet and these there were 2 caselets. Out of this caselet was quite doable, provided if you are able to make the table out of it. Only 3% are there. The different 3 categories are there. It is house or it is gold. So for Nirav, Ketan, the Harshal, so their house, their gold, just you have to arrange things, and it is quite doable. So now this is again one set. Don't take the help of solution, just try and solve it on your own. Yes, you can do it. I am very confident you can do it. Guys, why it is very important that now rather than being dependent on solution, you should start solving question on your own, because that will give you the real confidence. Okay, now I can solve difficult sets also. And then that confidence is certainly going to help you to maximize your score in final exam. Not only in final exam, next mock, next mock, next mock, and cumulative confidence is going to be useful for this one. The beauty of this question is, now this question number 21, question of somebody who solved question number 21, that means 21 and question number 24 were connected. So you can very easily solve 24 also. Let's say 22, somebody who started solving 22 and decided, no, I'm not going to solve this question, it is unnecessarily lengthy. Then he would have raised question 23. And the moment he solved question number 23, he realized now he know the number of gold coin. So then he will again come back and solve 22. So these are two sets ke do question hai, and it is quite doable set. Even if you find it difficult, quite possible just because you're solving it at the end of the test or this is the last set. So quite possible it would have created a sense that, okay, this is a difficult set, but this is doable. Beta ek baar try karo, you will able to find it. Nahi, then only go for solution, then only check the solution. That is, these are the sets. So if I have to classify all these things, the surgical strike sets, that Vajwa and all those, so that is LR. I would consider that a moderate level. Knockout tournament, again moderate, provided you know that concept. In case you don't know, quite possible it may be difficult set for you. Bar graph, employee joined and retired, that was easy, rather easy to moderate. Why I've written easy to moderate? In case somebody wouldn't have solved that set, then moderate. Otherwise, it was easy, purely observation based. IPL hockey, difficult and time taking, just because 4 questions, there was no point wasting that much time. So again, in that case, even if you're leaving it for the end, that is fine. Now these Reynolds caselet is again time taking little bit because every question have different calculations. So that's why moderate and time taking, time consuming, I'm saying. And then last set I said is moderate. And for those of you who solve really so many sets of this type, for them it may be easy also. So guys, this is what the more or less the sense of the test I got. Now on the basis of this, if you will see your ideal attempt. So guys, easy to moderate, there was one set. So you could have solved those 4 questions. Now moderate, there were 3 sets. So those 12 questions, even if out of 12 questions, you are solving 8 questions or you are solving all 12 questions. Sometimes it happens that even if you are not able to comprehend things properly, so then you can leave one set. So 8 or 12. If you're not solving 12 question here, that means you'll have enough time to invest here. Then in that case, you can solve 4 question. There was one set, moderate but time consuming. So you had time, luxury of time. So you could have invested it here. Even if you're ignoring this set, that is fine. So now if I'm saying that 12 plus 4, 16 or 8 plus 4, 12 plus 4, 16. So you're making 16 attempt. Let's say out of 16 attempt, 13 is correct, 3 is wrong. You cannot go beyond this as far as accuracy level is concerned. You cannot go behind this. So 13.3. So in that case, the score is going to be 39. Let's say 1 is, so around 37 you can get. I'm assuming that one question that you made mistake is theta type. So 30, around 37. So in 37, you end up reaching somewhere around 98 percentile. Let's say somebody solve one more set. Certainly that person is going to be beyond 99. Somebody, okay, sir, I'm not really achieving this much. So no issues here. 19 score. So 19 means 8 attempt, 9 attempt, 2 sets. Even if let's say you're attempting 2 sets, so you can achieve 90. So guys, this is one very good set. Very good test, where you could have scored well. That's it, sir. Shivam sir. Now over to you.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the live analysis of EOM 8 QA section. I'll be taking analysis of QA section for EOM 8. This is how we'll proceed. We'll start with topic distribution. which suggests how many questions were there in the test from each of the topic. This will be followed by the difficulty level analysis. We try to classify the questions based on their difficulty level into three major categories, that is easy, moderate, and difficult. Based on this difficulty analysis, we'll derive the expected attempts, and finally we will map these scores versus percentiles. So let's start with topic distribution. This is how the topic distribution looks like in EOM 8. There were 4 questions from permutation and combination, so good share from PNC, and 3 questions from number as well as time and work. 2 questions each from time and distance, functions, triangles, and height and distance, and triangles as well. Okay. 1 question each from percentage, linear equation, quadratic equation, average, set theory, inequality, special property, miscellaneous algebra, and quads and polygons. So looks like a very balanced paper where each topic gets its representation. Moving on to the difficulty level analysis, let's look at the first question here in easy questions. So there was a question from averages where it was given that there was some it was given that net worth of 22 businessmen was increasing by $2 million if 2 of them leave the group. Okay, so here what we can do is we can assume the average as X. Okay, when 2 of them leave, remaining 20 will have an average of X plus 2. So that is the thought process. We can simply create an equation here and we can solve the question. The next question was based on PNC, wherein there were 10 stations given, including A and B. A is the starting point, B is the finishing point. So there are 8 stations in between. So out of these 10 stations, you want to travel between any 2 stations, and you were to find out how many tickets can be generated over here. Okay, so as far as we look at the number of tickets that can be created here, that is a 10C2. Okay, you simply need to select 2 stations here out of 10, so that is 10C2, and between those 2 stations you can travel in 2 manner. One is let's say you go from A to B, you always have a chance to come back from B to A. Okay, so between any 2 pair of station you can travel in 2 ways, so that is 10C2 multiplied by 2. That was the answer. Next question again from PNC, wherein there were 6 boxes given, and these 6 boxes were to be packed with dal or rice. Now it was given that at least 1 pack consists of dal, right? At least 1 means there can be more than 1 box with dal also, and there was one condition given that if you are putting dal in multiple boxes, those boxes should be consecutively numbered. Okay, so what you can do is you can first take 1 boxes with dal, so that can be kept in 6 ways because there were 6 boxes. If you have 2 boxes which need to be adjacently placed, then there are 5 ways. If you have 3 boxes which need to be adjacently placed, then there are 3 ways. Okay, so you can make a sequence out of this, which is 6 plus 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1, and you have to add all of them to get the final answer, which will be 21. A question based on function was given. This looks like a scary question, but the kind of data that was given here, like there were 5 equations given, right? Which is fx minus gx is equal to 1, and then gx plus hx is minus 1, and so on. Okay, there were 5 such equations given. So what you can do is you can start solving those equations for f, g, h, I, and k, and you can get the value of each and every function. When you solve those values, you find that each of the function is a constant function, because you are getting values like g is equal to 1, f is equal to 1.5, kx is equal to 0.5. So all these values are constant values. So we know that all these functions are constant functions, and that is why irrespective of whatever input we are giving, the function value remains the same. Okay, so we simply have to put the values of g, j, k, f, and h and solve the question. So both the questions can be categorized as easy questions, because once you solve for the 5 functions, okay, you simply have to insert the values and simplify. The next question was based on percentage, though it looked like a question based on triangle because there were in radius given, circumradius given, but majorly the concept which was applied here was of successive percentage increase. Okay, so the question says that if in a triangle all the sides are increased by 25%, the product of circumradius, which is capital R, and in radius, which is small r, should increase by what percentage? So we can simply go by the percentage increase formula, the successive percentage increase. You can use the AB formula, which says that A plus B plus AB by 100, or you can even go by the multiplier. It will give you the same answer, which is 1.25 into 1.25. So that is 1.5625, which means 56.25% increase. This kind of questions can be mentally calculated. The next was questions based on number, where a person had certain mobile number and it was given that his mobile number cannot be expressed as a difference of two perfect square. It cannot be expressed. Okay. Now it's an even number, and if it can be expressed as a difference of two perfect square, then that even number has to be a multiple of 4. Here it cannot be, so it cannot be a multiple of 4. That has to be the answer. Okay, so if you know this property, right, this was also taught at QA1 level, that if x square minus y square is equal to 84, then this doesn't have any integer solution. Okay, so same concept is applied over here. Then question mapping of moderate level questions. So there was a question on quadratic equation wherein two people solve a quadratic equation where a was 1. Okay, so the general form of the equation might be x square plus bx plus c, and both of them interchange the value of b and c. Okay, so if you equate both the equations, okay, one is x square plus bx plus c and the other one is x square plus cx plus b, because b and c are getting interchanged. Okay, so once you equate both of them, you will get something like 1 plus b plus c is equal to 0, which means b plus c is minus 1, and that was available in the option. A question on set theory where there were certain number of candidates given, and basically the data was related to at most 0 candidate clearing the cutoff in number of candidates clearing the cutoff in at most a 0 section. Then you have at most 1 section. Okay, so here we need to understand that if you have number of candidate given in at most 0 section, let's say it is 4, okay, and at most 1 section, if it is 6, then the number of candidate clearing the cutoff in exactly 1 section is the difference of these two, because in at most 1 the data is getting cumulated, right? So it is 6 minus 4, that is 2 students clearing cutoff in exactly 1 section. Now similarly, once you get the logic, you can find out the number of student clearing cutoff in exactly 2 section, exactly 3, exactly 4 and exactly 5. Okay, once you have the individual data for sections, you can find out at least 3, which is 3 or more section. You can simply add the values. A question on triangle was given. At first it might look like a question on height and distance because the angle of elevations were given, but remember this is a leaning tower of Pisa, so the tower was inclined. Okay, and then there were two angle of elevation were given, 30 and 60, which makes it a right angle triangle, and one has to find out the height of the leaning tower, which is nothing but the median on hypotenuse, because both the friends were standing at equal distance. Okay, so this basically forms a median on hypotenuse, which is hypotenuse by 2. Next was question based on time and work, where two elephants were given, Drona and Arjuna. Okay, so initially both were operating at their original capacity, but after Drona is falling sick, he is working at the reduced capacity, and because of that they are taking 1 day extra in order to complete the work. Okay, so what we have to equate is the remaining number of days at that point of time were 9. Okay, so 9 days work of Drona plus Arjuna at the normal capacity is equal to 1 day extra, mean 10 days 10 days work for Drona at the reduced capacity, which is 30% decrease, so 0.7 plus Arjuna at the regular efficiency. So if you solve this equation, you get the relation between the efficiency of Arjuna and Drona, and then the question can be easily solved. A question based on permutation and combination was given, where 50 books were to be distributed among 4 friends, and each of them should get the odd number of books. So when we have odd number of books, we can straight away assume that it is 2a plus 1, 2b plus 1, 2c plus 1 and 2d plus 1, and we can equate the summation to 50. Now this is simply application of partition method, wherein you get 2a plus 2b plus 2c plus 2d is equal to 50 minus 4, which is 46. So you need to solve a plus b plus c plus d is equal to 23 for non-negative integer solution. Okay. The next question was based on linear equation, wherein there were 2 equations given. These are the 2 equations as you can see on your screen. So what we can do here is we can try to eliminate one of the variable, okay, either m or n, and once you eliminate m or n, you can solve by substituting the value in the first equation. So this was easy question because one of the variable can be easily eliminated. A question based on time and distance where car was overtaking a cyclist while driving in a tunnel. Okay, so this was a question based on relative speed, wherein we have to consider the relative speed of car minus cyclist because they are traveling in the same direction. And the question was about how long the cyclist can see the car. Okay, so he was able to see the car up till a distance of 80 meters. So the relative distance was 80 and we had to find out the time for the same. A question based on numbers was given where there was a number n given, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up till 998, 999 and 1000. This number was divided by 9. Now anybody who knows that we need to find out digital sum in such cases. So you just have to find out digital sum here. And if the digital sum is divisible by 9, the remainder is 0. If the digital sum divided by 9 leaves a certain remainder, that is the same remainder when the number is divided by 9. And this kind of concept was discussed earlier in one of the QA marathon exercise. So I think it can be solved. Coming to question mapping of moderate but time consuming questions. So there was this question on time and work where there were n number of taps numbered from 1 to n. Okay, and this was a set of 2 questions. Now there was one particular condition given here that each of the tap working alone takes as much time as the summation of the time taken by all the taps working together. Okay, this clearly means that the rate of each tap will be the summation of all the taps, the rate of summation of all the taps, which is numbered less than it. So say for example, if I want to find out the rate of tap number 4, that is nothing but the summation of rates of tap 1 plus 2 plus 3. Once I realize this, I can easily figure out that if 14th tap has certain capacity, 15th tap will be double that. Okay, and that is why there is 100% increase in the capacity of the rate of the 15th tap. A question based on triangles was given where a cube plus b cube plus c cube equal to 3abc was given, and we had to find out the maximum value of interior angle of the triangle. So this was purely a factorization based question where one has to factorize a cube plus b cube plus c cube minus 3abc equal to 0, and once you get the factors you have to rearrange in such a manner that you ultimately get a minus b the whole square plus b minus c the whole square plus c minus a the whole square, which gives you a equal to b equal to c. So that's an equilateral triangle. And if it's an equilateral triangle, the maximum value of interior angle has to be 60. Question based on permutation and combination where there was some data given, 2 branches were given, okay, and in both the branches there were certain number of girls and boys, total number of students were also given. There were girls versus girls matches given in one of the branch, whereas boys versus boys matches were given in the other branch. So one has to understand that when you have girls versus girls matches, it is number of girls C2, that's the number of matches. Okay, same way number of boys is C2, that's the number of matches. So you will be able to figure out the number of girls and boys. Okay, so finally you can calculate the number of boys and girls in the respective departments. A question on time and distance where one person was traveling from Bangalore to Ramanagaram to Bangalore again, and here it was given that the time that he is taking for onward journey, okay, is increased by 30 minutes while going for a return journey, because on return journey he is going through a different route which is 5 kilometers longer. Okay, so one has to equate the time taken on both the cases, that is t1 is equal to t2 plus half, and you will be able to solve the equation for the distance ultimately. This was a time consuming question because there was a lot of story built around the question. There were approximately 7 to 8 lines that you have to read in order to understand the complete question. Again, question based on number. One of the question was something that we have already seen earlier slide. Okay, this is the second question of the same set, and the number was the same here, 1 2 3 4 5 6 up to 1000. Here we had to find out the remainder when first 1000 digit of the number when they are divided by 16. Okay, so one first need to find out the last 4 digit of a number formed by taking the first 1000 digit of a number. Why? Because when you divide the number by 16, it is giving the remainder which is equal to the remainder obtained by dividing the last 4 digit of the number. This is basically divisibility rule by 16. Okay, so you first have to decide what are the last 4 digit of the first 1000 digits, okay, and divide that value with 16. So this was a little time consuming to figure out what were the last 4 digits of the first 1000 digits. Coming to question mapping of difficult level questions, there was a question on quads and polygons wherein a circle was inscribed in a trapezium and one had to find out the area of the trapezium. The radius of the circle was given. Now in such kind of questions, one need to understand that if a circle is inscribed in a trapezium, it has to be isosceles trapezium. Okay. Considering that, one needs to use the formula for common tangent, which is if there are two common tangents drawn to a particular circle from an external point, both the common tangents are of equal length. So let's say if PT1 and PT2 are two common tangents, okay, both the tangents are having the same length. So that property also required to be used in this question. So this might require a lot of thought process to be kept in, to be invested in the question, a lot of time to be invested in the question, and hence it was a difficult question. Next question was based on maximization of a quadratic function. So there was this question based on Artha Kala Kendra Mandir, wherein they are selling tickets for ₹120 and there are 600 seats to be sold. Okay, it was given that for every 6 rupees increase in the price, the number of seats sold are decreasing by 20. Okay, so you will be able to create one quadratic equation out of this, which is 120 plus 6x equal to 600 minus 20x. So when you multiply, you get a quadratic equation. And the maximization of the quadratic function needs to be applied. So we have to make a perfect square and equate that to 0. A question on miscellaneous algebra where the equation was given 6x plus 3y minus 4z equal to 10, and x, y, z, all three number will belong between 0 and 10, so greater than 0 and less than 10, and one had to find out the maximum value of x here. Okay, so this requires certain kind of thought process that first of all your 6x plus 3y should not be a multiple of 4, because if LHS is a multiple of 4, RHS will also be a multiple of 4, which is not. Okay, so 6x plus 3y should not be a multiple of 4, so it should be only an even number, and keeping that in mind, we will have to do certain trial and error and find out the maximum value of x. A question based on height and distance, wherein a good amount of probability was also mixed over here, because see, the question was regarding two vertical flags. One of them was 10 root 3, that was the height. Second one was 20 root 3. Now, between these two flags, there was a distance of d units. Now, a person is fixing up any point on this distance of d units, and he is observing the angle of elevation for both the poles, right? So it should be minimum 30 degree for the first pole and 60 degree for the other pole. So he gets one common region wherein both the conditions are satisfied. Okay, so that particular common region divided by the total distance will give you the probability, and that should be at least a 50%. So we have to equate it to greater than or equal to 1/2. Okay, so this mixes concepts of height and distance along with probability, and some bit of inequality was also there, right? And that is why this question can be certainly categorized as a difficult question. There were in fact two questions in this set. Both of them can become termed as difficult questions. So based on this analysis, this is what we get. This is the summary of whatever we have discussed till now in last 4 to 5 slides. There were 7 easy questions that we have seen, and we suggest that most of these should be attempted. So I expect high percentage of attempts from these 7 easy questions, okay, which is 6 out of 7 should be attempted. For a moderate question, again, as we have mentioned earlier, this has to be a bread and butter, the first 2 categories of question. Okay, so out of 7 plus 8, 15 questions, one should be able to solve 6 plus 6, 12 questions comfortably. For a moderate but time consuming, we expect roughly 50% of the questions to be solved, wherein from difficult questions, we expect 2 out of 5 can be attempted over there as well. So all in all, from 26 questions, we expect you to attempt around 17 questions with 80 to 85% of accuracy, which comes to roughly 14 attempts being correct versus 3 incorrect. And if you get 14 correct, 3 incorrect, then your net score should be somewhere around 42 minus 2 to 3, which is 40 marks. And based on that, my 98 percentile is capped at 40 marks. Okay. You can observe that 95 is available at 35 marks, 90 percentile is at 27, whereas 80 percentile is just at 20 marks. 20 marks is a net correct of just 7 questions. So if you just solve 7 easy questions with 100% accuracy, you are still an 80 percentiler. Okay. For somebody who is well prepared and finished the syllabus completely, have done marathon exercises also, they can definitely look to score in the range of 98, 99, or even 99.5 percentile, which are respectively capped at 40, 44, and 50, and 100 percentile is at 66. So this is all we had for QA section analysis. I'll hand it over to Ajit sir for VA section as well as the overall analysis.
Thank you so much, Shivam sir. What has been happening? I have to show my face and I have to tell the kids what has been happening. What just happened? So you had your first mock of September. Who likes September? I don't like September. It is Virgo season. There's a lot of things that happen in September. Yeah, honestly, September is always the time. I don't know how many of you are repeaters, like people who had prepared for CAT last year. And of those, there might be some who had prepared for CAT. Even, क्या कहते हैं आपका? They had prepared for CAT with us. So, PPT दिखा नहीं रहेगी. So, yeah, September first mock CAT is always tough. I can't think of a lot of mock CATs in September which have been easy. Reason, goal setting, direction. You people have one-to-ones going on. You people have, you filled up the CAT form. So CAT का form भर दिया, one-to-one start हो गए, and you are considering other exams also. And this is probably the time when you have your college exams coming up or something else coming up in life. And reminder तो देना पड़ता है ना, तो कभी-कभी the only reminder that works is a झटका. So yes, we had a jhatka for you today in terms of the paper, because yes, the paper is tough. I mean, I cannot say in any ways that the verbal section today was easy. I will be happy if people tell me that it was easy for them. What did we do? Same old thing. Maybe you are a beginner level student who is only done with RC lectures, and for them the analysis is going to stop at a particular point. But if you are a beginner level student, if you just done RC, that means you are my crash batch student. So I'm going to anyways tell you what you should have done. But if you're not a crash batch student, that means you are either intermediate or advanced. So a lot of things that you saw today, even beginner level for that matter, maybe you've seen grammar. Grammar was there today. Where would you have been stuck? The verbal logic, 5 questions. That's it. Everything else was taught to you. So this means this paper was a clear ego challenge to those who have been preparing since a year or longer than that. Abhi tak kya kar rahe the? How did you not prepare grammar for this paper when you have been taught grammar? Why do people walk into any mock CAT or any actual CAT assuming aaj to ye nahi hi aayega? Please don't do that. We can trust IIMs almost as much as we can trust the government. So now you decide whether it's a positive statement or a negative statement, right? So selection, familiarity. What was this paper about? Let me show you in the next slide exactly what is my overall perspective of the paper. Time allocation. How would I have allocated my time to reading based questions, and how would I have allocated my time to the verbal ability based questions? So what did we have today? Overall summary, 26 questions, 40 minutes, 16 dedicated to reading comprehension. CAT had 18. Don't worry, you will have a CAT with an EOM with 18 questions also soon. At 16 tha. 16 from reading comprehension, 5 from verbal logic, and 5 from grammar. What does that mean? That means 16 plus 5, 21 questions where you have to read. And 5 questions where no matter how much you read, you feel like, ये भी हो सकता है, ये भी हो सकता है. क्यों? क्योंकि grammar है. Sir, grammar तो हम पढ़ते ही नहीं है. Very good. मत पढ़ो. So many of you are planning to give the NMAT next month. मत पढ़ो grammar. फिर रोना आराम से. Overall difficulty level, I have said moderate to difficult. What are my 3 takeaways from this paper? 1, there is no way you can come up with a strategy in an EOM to skip an RC. Sorry, that's not going to happen. If you are not there yet, please go back and make RCs your strength. Any EOM that you enter, your actual CAD that you enter, you have to be clear inside your head that most of your energy and focus is going to be the RCs no matter what happens. Second, a mixed bag. Because I always show you at the end, how should you have approached the paper to maybe reach a 98 percentile. So I'll show you why it is a mixed bag. And third, like I said, September is here. Stop feeling surprised. We have festivals coming up. We are done with the long weekends. Khatam ho gaya. We have festivals coming up. We have exams coming up. We have a lot of EOMs coming up. We have form filling sessions coming up. We have everything that life could throw at you. All of it is coming up now. These are the last 2 months where you do not want anything, emotional, physical, mental, academic, professional, anything to derail your CAT preparation or your focus. Because if you do that, at the end of 4 months, we might not have much to look at in terms of where did things go wrong. All of it is going to come down to wo ek mahina handle karna tha. There was just to that 1 month that I had to control and I could not control. Anyways, back to the questions. Grammar questions. We had 2 sentence correction questions. We had 2 error detection questions. Both the sentence correction questions were moderate. Maybe some of you did not get why passive voice construction does not work, because it is parallel structure. Exploitating versus exploitative. Yes, some of you have had this colloquial thing where you just look at a gerund and you're like, sir, gerund to bani sakta hai na, not necessary. A gerund is not always a correct adjective. Then you had 2 error detection questions. First was Supreme Court and child labor. And yes, when I read that question, even my first point was, my first contention was, why is there present perfect continuous? Have been pointing. Why is it there in E? And then I thought and I realized कि वो गलत तो नहीं है. It might be there and it might seem awkward, but वो गलत नहीं है. It is just pinching me for no reason. So for the time spent on that question, I'm going to call it a moderate question. And then I had another error question where the error is a punctuation. So if you haven't done punctuations, then I don't know. मैंने बोला like these are like the perfect continuous tense or the punctuation. These are not like regular things in grammar. If you are going to only going to focus on subject verb agreement and pronouns, so I'm not sure whether you are right there as well. Then usage, dry. Why moderate? Why not moderate? Dry out क्या होता है? How many of us have actually heard dry out? Many of you have not heard dry out. So yes, it was a trap. And high and dry, sir, वो तो सुना ही है ना. Spirits high होते हैं, spirits high and dry नहीं होते. इंसान को high and dry करके लटका देते. Next, verbal logic. Question numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Why did I start with grammar? Because grammar, if I were giving this paper today, I would have started with grammar. I am always looking at cash questions. So even if grammar was segregated throughout the paper, I would have started with grammar. Hence my grammar was first. Verbal logic. Summary question. Intentional forgetting. September. Surprises and shocks are everywhere. You start with that question and you're like, you kuch zyada close nahi ho raha hai. Correct. It was very close. There were 2 answer choices which were very close. And this was a classic CAT level question. That one word, intentional, makes the difference. Yes, that is what happens on CAT. It is going to throw from the first question itself questions where they are going to check your diligence with all the pressure and all those things that you carry into your CAT. Can you focus on that first word from the word go? From the first minute itself, can you focus on how do you answer a question? Are your approaches in place? Are your strategies in place? Can you handle the pressure and not get affected or distracted by the pressure to make silly mistakes? But so एक word is always a silly mistake. So that, then 2 logical continuation questions, they must have taken maybe more than 1 person by surprise. For those who have not been taught logical continuation, आपको तो हाथ ही नहीं लगाना था. Because you see, logical continuation, both the questions are either level 3 or level 4. तो मतलब वो तो करना ही नहीं था. But people tried. US policy towards Burma, 2 answers very close. China and the world, look at the explanation. We need to rearrange answer choices. It is the criticism going on. तो वो ध्यान रखना पड़ता है भाई. If you have not been taught or if logical continuation is not your strength, then there was no way you would have attempted question numbers 2 and 3. Out of context for me, honestly, were questions which we've taught you. I mean, if you have reached at that point, and we keep saying, so for me, these were very, very strong examples of what we keep telling you. Focus on what is being talked about, not in terms of words, but in terms of the idea. In both of them, ghost blogging as well as veterinarians, it was the precision of the idea. That's a veterinarians, it is only and only talking about the increase in the acceptance of veterinarians, not the increase in the number of veterinarians. Or in ghost blogging also, my focus is what? That, and yes, if getting question number 4 or question number 5 incorrect has hurt you, take that hurt, go back to my books, go back to the Endeavor modules, practice out of context questions all over again, and make sure that today is 6th of September, between 6th and 15th of September, take all of your doubts of out of context and get them solved, no matter what happens. If you're really keen on making sure that these, and because out of context has always been a cash question across the years, that is also the reason out of context on your actual CAT is a no negative question, because they want people to take a shot at it. Reading comprehension, my first passage was a history-based passage, the railroads and the narratives. Slightly lengthy, I mean, a bit considering, I mean, I would not call it lengthy in an objective sense, but subjective sense, because you've already attempted 1 summary and 2 logical continuation and 2 out of context questions before it, and maybe, and grammar questions also. So yeah, it can feel like, sir, abhi aur padhna padega, abhi to 3 passage aane wale hain. True, if I were in your place, I would also feel like, kitna padhne ka yaar, abhi ek lamba passage aa gaya. So 3 questions. First was mentioned in the passage. Why is it moderate? Such long answer choices, 20-22 words ke to answer choices hai, kitna padhne ka, sir? So yes, it was a reading intensive test. Inference question, difficult. Very, very close choices. Another inference question, a trap that some people still face. I don't think it's a trap, but yes, people tell me, sir, wo cannot be concluded. There we get very, very confused. Why? Because apparently people tend to, when they say C cannot be concluded, they tend to put in too much effort into reading an answer choice and figuring out, sir, ye definitely true mein jayega, ke probably true mein jayega. Just figure out which one is probably false. Don't worry about definitely true or probably true. Bracket nahi aaya na, bhul gaye. Second passage. Persecution mania. Not so easy to read, undoubtedly. Questions were sort of easy, but then when the passage is not so easy and the questions are easy and it is right in the middle of your verbal reasoning section, it deserves to be called a moderate level passage. In fact, I can understand if some of you actually found it moderate to difficult level. It's not a difficult level passage, but definitely moderate difficult level passage. 5 questions. The first one was mentioned in the passage. Again, a moderate one. So first, second, both of these were moderate questions. There was an inference question, which just like the previous question cannot be concluded. This is one more question type where you have to like select 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 1 and 3, and like it's a thing. It's a person to person thing. Most people don't like these questions. If they don't like these questions, they will only give one reason. Yeah, if like even if I get 1 correct and 1 incorrect, eventually I get a 0. I get a negative score. So because you have to precisely select the answer choices, some people just hate these questions. And it is CAT. You don't want to make a small mistake after working so hard on that particular answer and end up with a negative score. You could have scored a +3 instead of you have a -1, which gives you a net score of -4. Nahi karna hai mere ko wo. So then the next is again inference, moderate. Somehow I think this question would have been a bit awkward for some people because the answer choices were such that you could have flipped between multiple answer choices. Like, sir, ye bhi correct lag raha hai, ye bhi correct nahi lag raha, but apparently solid to koi bhi nahi lag raha. So then and the last was again mentioned in the passage. Again, a moderate question. Like we do, the only way we can make a paper tough on CAT is either not give you a passage in English, give it to you in Sanskrit, and you will find it very tough, or we can create close answer choices. So we intend to take the second approach, not take the first approach. because we are endeavor. We are not stupid like the other players. Virtue of leisure time. Overall difficulty, bomb. Why bomb? You read the first paragraph and you are lost. You're completely lost. You're बोलना क्या चाहता है? 12 beggars, I'll give it to the laziest one. He gives it to the laziest one, and we should talk about the virtue of leisure time. And वहां से suddenly from an anecdote, he goes so serious and like shit क्या हो गया इसको? Is it even the same passage? मैं अलग passage पढ़ रहा हूँ क्या? So it's a bomb. I mean, 40 minutes. What do you expect from me? So it was a tough to read passage. Similarly, very tricky questions. And the first question itself is an applied question. I have an applied information question. I have one more applied information question coming in the next passage. So applied information, the author is likely to disapprove which of those cases, and uske liye to pura passage samajhna padega that the author has a problem with people who are going to people who don't value leisure time because they think that work is more important than leisure time. Jab tak aapko, if you don't understand that concept, then you can't select an answer there. You will just have multiple possible answers inside your head. Sorry. 19th and 20th, logical purpose. Why does the author refer this? The author mentions this most probably in author 2, and one of those, the 20th one, is your anecdote. What is the purpose of the anecdote? Look at the length of the explanation in that question. That length of the explanation tells you that if you did not attempt that question, you are smart. You're really smart. Don't just jump into a question. Inference. Sort of moderate because it requires you to summarize the passage just like you did in the 18th question. So if you did the 18th question well, I think you would have done it well. Also because attempting question number 21 would have been a so much better option than going for 22, where almost everything, just like the summary question, looks so close. All options look the same. So I found that problem, and the people who struggled with the summary, the first question, that sir, wo intentional word miss ho gaya, sab kuch gadbad ho gaya, would have found the same problem here because it's just the same ideas played around with in all of the answer choices. That brings us to the last passage, the story of Dacia. Like always, we keep that brownie at the end for those people who are good with their selection skills. For those who are not good with the selection skills, those who are, they go in a sequence. That's it. I'm going to take the first one question first, and then I'll go ahead, and then by the time I reach question number 23, can I take the two sections later on because I can't think of anything. So by the time you reach story of Dacia, which is such an easy to read passage, somehow all of your lights are gone off, and you are struggling to, and you are also trying to maintain your energy because there is more than one section coming up. So easy to read, moderate difficulty level questions, not very difficult questions. The first was scan and verify. Mentioned the passage was like very not so difficult, not so easy also, because as I said, the placement of the passage is such that by the time you reach the passage, if you have not managed your time well, or if you did not use selection skills, so it is an easy question that is going to appear moderate to you. Inference question, very confusing choices, and applied question, again so much to rearrange. So if you had taken the approach that I'm about to show, then 25 was not a difficult question. If that is not the approach that you took, in other words, if you took up this passage after the first 20 minutes of your reading verbal VARC section, then I don't know whether you were what you did on question number 25. So this was the breakup. Yeah, there's no easy question. There is no easy. I mean, I could have very easily labeled 3 questions as easy, but theek hai na? Considering the way that the impression of the paper, let's keep them moderate. Let me allow my students to feel good that they have evolved and they can see a moderate question and answer it correctly. Because no, when I say that a question is moderate, trust me, you can bring anyone from inside or outside endeavor, bring anyone from the entire industry, nobody can prove that it's an easy question. So the logic is still there. Yes, it was a moderate to difficult level paper. 16 moderate questions, 9 difficult questions, 1 very difficult question. Yaad hai? Udhar, aage, logical continuation. and expected number of attempts, what I would have done, 12 attempts out of 16 in moderate, that is 75% of the attempts, and I should have gotten 11 correct. And for those 12 questions, I could have given somewhere around 24 to 26 minutes for those moderate questions, which is fair. 2 minutes per question for a moderate question, 2.5 minutes. And then for the remaining difficult questions, I would have given 3 minutes per question. So 24 minutes for my moderate questions and 15 minutes for my difficult questions. Voila, we have 40 minutes. What should you have done? There is no approach to. I know that when I analyze, some people are like, sir, give me an approach to. By this paper, there is no approach to. There is only one approach. Focus on RCs and then on the verbal ability section. There is no other approach. You can rearrange this. You could have started with, like I said, I would have started with grammar, but I wanted to give a grammar at the end because that's what I would have read. Most of you would not have started with grammar because you were not ready with grammar. So I would have started with what? Something like grammar and then gone to story of Dacia and then gone to the other passages. You could have started with the passages, in which case the fourth passage comes first, then comes the first passage, then the second and third. And as you can see, by the time I moved to second and third, I would have already reduced my expectations. I'm looking at 3 or 4 attempts and 2 correct only. It would have been great if someone had attempted only 3 questions in persecution mania. But if not, fine. I mean, if you could attempt 4 also. So that is what my thing is. And if you calculate this time, like I said, you can either take my previous page wala approach, which was 24-25 minutes to moderate questions and 15 minutes to difficult questions. Or if you take this approach, I'm still on what I always do, 25 minutes to passages. Unless I come across a different format where the number of questions for RCs goes down, I will always give 25 minutes to passages. I am going to get done with passages and then go to verbal ability. And if the verbal ability turns out to be a shocker, I'll come back to passages. Otherwise, everything that I want to do with passages, I'll give it a dedicated 25 minutes. After 25 minutes, I'll exit the passages. Verbal logic, what would I have selected? 2 out of context questions, both of them undoubtedly. 1 either logical continuation or summary, and I would have given it a complete 8 minutes. So 3 questions in 8 minutes because they deserve it. Grammar, sentence correction or error detection, one of those 2. So maybe you could have picked up 1 each, 1 from sentence correction, 1 from error detection, or you could have taken 2 sentence correction, or you could have taken 2 error detection, plus 1 usage question. Yes, it was tricky, but it was not like a bomb. Take the 2 of them, finish them in 4 minutes. Why would I need 4 minutes? Because if you went to error detection, you would have required more time. Sentence correction was not so time consuming. Error detection was time consuming. The one's very hard to like rearrange the sentences and figure out which one is grammatically incorrect. So that would bring us back to 40 minutes, 17 attempts, 14 correct. That's what I showed in the previous page. 17 attempts, 14 correct. Why am I stuck on this 17 and 14 today? Because that's what I need to get a 39, which is my good score of 98 percentile. This slide will always remain my most favorite slide of any analysis, because beginner level people, those who are only done with grammar lectures, I said I am teaching beginner level, bhai, jinka crash course chal raha hai. Those who are only done with grammar and some bit of RC, your target, I had very specifically mentioned your target was getting 20 or 21 marks. Look at it, 7 questions. No matter where you are in your CAT preparation, getting exactly 7 correct is possible. It's a cakewalk. And look at how those numbers go up from 21 to 63, almost 3 times as you go from 80 to 100. If you can get me, for people who are at a beginner level, if you can get me that 7 into 3, 21 now, with the same level of dedication and commitment, and if I say 21, you get me 21. If I say 25, you get me 25. If you can simply implement what we keep telling you, what my colleagues have been telling you in your one-to-ones, please make notes in one-to-ones, take those targets, implement them. Anybody who has been able to achieve a short 21 by calculation, went in knowing I have to get a 21, came out with a 21. If you have those three specific skill sets that I told you, you can go from 21 to a 44 or a 63 also. There's an intervening number also. I'll show you in the next slide. All of it is possible. We have a lot of time. But if you were someone who went in thinking I am supposed to get a 30 today, and you came out with a 21 this September, these 30 days are where you have to stop making that those stupid mistakes wherein you go in expecting a 30 and come back with a 21. If you believe that you are overestimating yourself, please stop doing that. So 21, from you get me 5 extra, you go from 80 to 90. 5 extra is how much? 2 extra correct. 9, anyone at any level getting 9 correct would not have been a major challenge. Or maybe you get 10 attempts and 9 correct. That is also 26. Intermediate level people who are done with grammar and RC and they have started verbal logic, for them a 95, 11 correct out of 26 should have been a feasible target. And those who have completed everything, or they are almost on the verge of completing lectures, you people should have been able to get me 13 correct out of 26. How difficult is 13 correct? 14, exactly 13 correct or 17 and 14, one are the same thing. How difficult is it to identify exactly 13 questions out of 26 and get them correct? Do you understand that if you get a paper of 26 questions in 40 minutes, you are staring at an average time of 1.5 minutes per question, which is scary. But if I instead ask you to do only 13 questions in 40 minutes, you double the time. That's what you wanted. We are giving you that. We are teaching you how to get that. Improve your selection skills. This would be your overall scores. Yes, some people would be happy, target looking at a 183 and I also want to score a 183 someday. It depends on where you stand on the ladder right now, one, and how clearly and how meticulously are you going to follow the instructions. 100 percentile at a 63, 66, 65 is very, very close to what was there on CAT last year. For people who could not reach 100 percentile, again, see the difference between it's almost a difference of what? 50% between your 99 percentile and 100 percentile. I know it is not exactly 60%, the total marks come, but almost a 50% change between 99 and 100. So I am absolutely okay if someone wants to reach a 99 percentile by the time you are in the first week of November. Reach a 99, learn how to stabilize at 99, not rush behind 100 and in the process fall down to a 95. Whenever you hit your desired percentiles, make sure that for the next 2 or 3 mocks, you always get at least that percentile. You can't just jump from one mock to another, one EOM to another thinking, this time I had a 95, next time I'm going to a 98. Nahi hoga. Nahi ho paega. Let's not do things that we are going to look back at our life and we might not laugh at them, but people are going to laugh at us. Reach a particular target, stabilize at that target, make sure that over 2 or 3 different EOMs, what I said in the simulation of a mock also, over 2 or 3 different EOMs, please make sure that you remind yourself that if I target a 95, I can get a 95. Once you have that confidence, then you move to a 98 or a 99. Unless you can get me a consistent 95 in 3 tests, don't jump to 98. Don't go into a mock expecting that you'll get a 98. Unless you can get me 3 or 4 consistent mocks with a 98, don't worry about getting a 99. We have a lot of time. We still have almost 3 months to go. But if you don't know how to stabilize yourself, stabilize your strategy, these 3 months are never going to be enough. Thank you so much for your time. Stay focused, stay determined, sleep well tonight. Tomorrow morning is going to be a different morning. We still have a lot of things to cover up. I'll